The wingless thrush, that's showbiz, right? That's pretty, yeah. When we were doing the press conference earlier, you guys were saying that you wrote these stories over the years. The first one was 25 years ago, I think you said.
Yeah, they were written, I guess, sort of roughly in the chronological order in which you see them in the movie. And yeah, I would guess the first one was written about 25 years ago, and the last one was written shortly before we made the movies, actually.
So over that period of time, did you realize that you were following a thread really of mortality? Because that really does...
Really?
What do you think?
It became, at a certain point when we sort of had the opportunity to make them and make them all together, I would say initially no, at a certain point when we had that opportunity, we sort of, and before we wrote the last one, we sort of realized that they were all kind of about the same thing. And
it's something we were actually thinking about, the mortality thing, only while writing the last one, trying to think about what the last one could be that would make the thing feel complete somehow, instead of just one word story and then it's over. So we were thinking about it consciously then, and we thought, this character dies, this story, that one dies in that story, and maybe in this one they're all dead.
Actually, in the end, it kind of, you're in a stagecoach, but then at a certain point, it's like you're leaving the Western genre for the Gothic fleet.
Yeah, that's true, a little bit. The sets at the end were sort of, designed to go into the Gothic,
Twilight Zone. Let's open it up for questions, if anybody wants to jump in. Yeah, right there. Any particular? Any particular filmic influences, film styles, directors, films from other periods?
The last one, I don't know, different for all of them, but the last one, I never talked about this with the artist, but Rod Serling.
A great filmmaker.
Yes, there's so many, really. It's almost impossible to, list them. Like a lot of, people from our generation, as kids, we were watching Westerns since we started watching television, and somehow all of those, from the movies to the television shows that you see, they all kind of go in somewhere and come out there, in this case. So it's hard to sort of say, yes, certainly, but too many to list.
For the actors on stage, each of you guys is magnificent in this film, I have to say. You should deserve a round of applause. In different stories and different registers of the film. I'm wondering if anyone wants to jump in and talk about their experience of making this movie and playing these characters.
I want to say that after seeing the film for the second time, I really empathize with the horses. Because having to run through the dog holes as the teller and doing the pan shot stuff was difficult. It was hard not hitting a dog hole. So that's what I got.
There's one for the horses. For Tim Blake Nelson did his hat for his ears. Your ears aren't in a particular way.
No, that's something we kind of grew to like. And there was a moment in which we thought, well, I was looking in the mirror and I said, oh, and in the morning, and I said, I guess it's been doing that all the time. And then I was informed they love it. And I guess in general, I think I can speak for all of us as actors in doing their material. We're just honestly grateful to have the parts. They write so richly in such an unconventional way. They write for unconventional actors. And I think all of us, the experience of working with Joel and Ethan is one of being incredibly grateful and wanting desperately on a daily basis to do right by them.
Hear, hear.
It's also a different kind of experience to be in movies where the spoken language actually has a private place. Yeah, okay, yeah. How often did Joel and Ethan disagree about writing and directing choices?
No, I will. We get asked a lot, actually, that, so you'd think we'd have a practiced answer, but I don't know, it's not, we start from the beginning talking about it, so this agreement kind of implies two different, we staked out two different areas, but it kind of just doesn't work that way. There is only an area by virtue of us, talking it through from the beginning, so not much. Yeah, the other part of it is that making movies is at every level. It's it's not painting a picture or writing a novel. It's a collaborative art form. It's collaborative. You have the same discussions that go on between Ethan and I, or the conversations we have with everybody else who's working on it, from the actors to the designers to the everybody. That's just the nature of it's how it's done. And honestly, argument, disagreement, it doesn't really enter into it exactly that way. It's more everybody's just trying to figure out the best way to do something. Did we disagree with the actors?
Just jumping on that.
The only thing I can think of is how cross you would get with the oxen. You had much more disagreement with them than with anyone else.
You wanted the oxen to do something particular. What was it that the oxen Wrangler said?
I mentioned it this afternoon to Travis, the oxen guy. Nice guy, good with our questions and demands. I asked him to do something simple with it could be it could be stopped here, doing roughly this mark, and he just sighed. He looked at me like I was a fucking idiot. He said, driving an oxen is not as self-evident as people think.
Comedy, drama, what's your preference? Or is it a hybrid?
It's just a hard question.
Well, it depends on the nature of the material of the project, right?
It's like asking you to sit down and write something, and it's not like at a certain point you decide you're writing a grocery list as opposed to a letter to your wife, you know what It's kind of like the other question. You just kind of start at the beginning and it is whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, yes.
So I understand that first one was 25 years ago, and the last one is that the reason that you decided to stop together? Is all the tents we shot together? What's the sort of
So the question is about the fact that the first story was written 25 years ago. It's just set on stage, and the most recent one was written recently. So was that the idea to wait until 25 years until you had a story that you wanted to end with?
Yeah, I mean, this is a strange animal because we did write these as shorts, and when we were first writing the first 3 or 4, we just kind of wrote them for fun and then put them in a drawer. I mean, thinking, we're probably never going to make these. At a certain point, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, honestly, we thought, oh, maybe we can make them, maybe we can make them together. So it was, yeah, I mean, it was a strange, it wasn't like we said, not like most things where you sit down, you write a script, you have an idea, and however long it takes you to write it, that's it.
I do remember finishing the one that ended up being Liam and Harry Melling, and we finished it and, enjoyed writing it, and both didn't think really to a certainty that nobody would ever let us actually make that.
Did the actors calibrate their performances or know what was going on in the other films, like in the other sections of the film?
Did the actors calibrate their performances and know what was going on in the other sections of the film? Well, I mean, it's a whole script. So.
I mean, were they like present for the shooting of the other?
We weren't, but we all read one another's, and I think that knowing that they were all so squarely such subgenres of the Western, and everybody else, and it made you feel more responsible to be really legible in your own genre in terms of the performance, and so it sort of underscored the stylistic choices that were going on, I think.
Nobody told me nothing. I did read the other plays. I never saw it till tonight. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Very smart, directors. It's probably better to keep old actors in the dark.
I'm with her. Yeah. Yes, with her. Yes. The landscape was so exquisite. Yeah, it was filmed in a number of different landscapes, correct?
It was 4 of them were shot based in the same place, based in Santa Fe, actually, because there's kind of a variety of terrain around Santa Fe. We moved for 2 of them. The Tom Waits one was shot in Colorado near Telluride, and the Bill and Zoe and Granger was Western Nebraska, because obviously that's, you gotta go where that is.
Yeah.
I noticed the grandmother was a Granger Turner, and I believe that's the grandmother in True Grit.
Yes.
So is there a reason you keep bringing her back?
Failure of
The great Grandma Turner from True Grit.
A lack of imagination.
I wanted to ask you, I went in knowing absolutely nothing about the film, and so I felt like the title perhaps is a bit misguiding sort of what the entire picture is. So I wanted to ask you why you chose to title it specifically after the first part of the film.
After seeing the whole film, perhaps the title, you knew nothing about the film going in, perhaps the title seems misguided to you.
Yeah. No, it's certainly, you're absolutely right. Really, I mean, if we thought of, you're right, if we thought of a title, we would have used it.
How involved was Netflix in the process? Were they with you from the get-go? This is a long process, right?
They were pretty much, I mean, originally, the original people that we went to, that we started working with, before we spoke to anyone else, was Megan Ellison and Sue Nagel at Annapurna. And really, very shortly thereafter, we started talking to Netflix with them. So.
Originally, I was struck by the ongoing cruelty of the fates and the life of the people betrayed. To what extent is that a function of your position in our West? Is that a function of just what you want to do at that particular point? The role of cruelty.
A question about the role of cruelty and the American West.
I don't know. Is it a hallmark of the Western specifically, or is it terrible things happening is drama and comedy? That's like, is it remarkable for being that, or is that what most dramas and most comedies are about?
But yeah, I mean, it's certainly it is certainly a hallmark of Western stories, I think, what you're talking about in one form or another. So it seemed, in a way, this is kind of a march through a lot of, as Tim was saying, it's a march through a lot of different kinds of Westerns. I mean, we consciously sat down and thought, well, what's next? And well, we haven't done the Stagecoach story. It was sort of like that a little bit. And what would that be? But I mean, just to get back to your question, yeah, I mean, it's a hallmark of that, those kinds of stories. I mean, it's true of, I think as Ethan was saying, it's fodder for both comedy and drama, amongst other things, but here especially, perhaps it's a good fit.
Zoe and Bill, your characters are the two tenderest characters probably in the film. The emotional exchange between you two actually stands out within the body of the film, I think. So I'm wondering if you could actually address the question of cruelty.
Well, earlier in the day we were talking at a different Q&A, and I was saying I think that there's a real thread of logic between the way that each segment prepares you for the next one, and I think that there's a kind of expectation that builds after the first two, our main character is going to die in each of these, and then the Tom Waits chapter, All Golden Valley. All Gold Canyon. All right, that's better. Sort of reverses that expectation. It reverses it with, you think he's dead and he's not, and then that makes you kind of have hope for our section, and then it's also the longest, so you have this sort of you're lulled into thinking that these people might survive and live happily. And reading it, I think it also reverses in a way our experience of violence, the violence that is coming at these protagonists is not the violence that kills Alice, it's her own fear, and I think that that's also an interesting kind of reversal that leads us into the last impressionistic chapter. Tenderness. I think that the tenderness is there because you have to have some sense of, when I watch the other chapters, I see where humor does the same thing as tenderness, or where greed does, or something like that. It's the humanity that connects you to those characters.
No, takes so many things from the themes that run through this. The obvious one being mortality has been discussed, and I think it, you know, often that's presented as like, well, this is a movie about the fact that you're going to die, and I think that's not at all so. I think one of the beautiful things about addressing that fact of life is that we get to watch what people decide to do in the meantime, and I feel like it's survive in the very basic sense, right? So we see all different modes of survival and the kind of bravery that each mode of survival might take, and I feel like there's something to be said about people who, in the midst of a wildly dangerous environment, decide that gentleness is a way to move through the world, and that actually is a way to, sort of conquer the things that are coming after you. Fuck, it's something we need to hear these days, right?